The Israeli and US-sponsored murder squad called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has ended its criminal mission in Gaza. The news of American and Israeli terrorists winding up their inhuman operation came just days after Israeli monsters dropped more American bombs to kill several unarmed and defenseless Palestinians in Gaza. Meanwhile, two more developments have taken place in and about Gaza. First, the rogue regime of the settler colony confirmed receiving one more body of its captive from Hamas. And then we learned from the United Nations today that it would take at least $70 billion to rebuild Gaza, which has been completely destroyed by Israel, amidst reports that the real number of people slaughtered by Israeli terrorists could run into hundreds of thousands. And yet, supporters of the Israeli genocidal maniacs in America still have no remorse. Zero remorse, let alone seek atonement for their crimes against humanity. This despite the rapidly changing political reality in the US against Israel and its rogue stooges in American society. Who would have expected Tucker Carlson to issue a public apology for making anti-Muslim statements in the past? Well, this is a result of the seismic shift in American society against the whole system that fueled the fake narrative against Muslims and Islam at the behest of Israeli psychopaths. Listen to Tucker Carlson here.
I have a lot of Muslim friends. I do. I am not like closed-minded. I'm very open-minded that way. My commitment, and it is an actual commitment to apologizing for things I got wrong, is real. The Iraq War, clear disaster. People of good faith, including me, supported it. We were wrong. Because they won't admit that, by and large, we're off to some other war under the same false pretenses, serving the same master, which is not America at all. It's the Israeli government. The actual aim, which is using the U.S. military to overthrow someone else's government on behalf of another country. No, I don't think we should have a regime change war with Iran. I don't work for the Israeli government. I don't want to work for the Israeli government.
Mind you, Tucker was the same person who invited Nick Fuentes on his show a few weeks ago when he called out Israeli stooges in US politics as he highlighted how the brain virus, his word, not mine, was infecting American Christian Zionists.
Explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot like that. John Bolton. I've known them all. George W. Bush, like Karl Rove. All people I know personally who I've seen be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then the Christian Zionists who are, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that?
Right.
And I can just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody. Because what? Because it's Christian heresy, and I'm offended by that as a Christian. That's why. So I don't, why not? I'm pissed at the neocons, very pissed. I've said that a million times. I've been mad since December of 2003 when I went to Iraq. And so I went and asked straightforward questions to Ted Cruz, because that seemed like there's a sitting senator who's serving for Israel by his own description. He seemed like a worthy target. I'm not going after MTG. Who's the most sincere why not go after Ted Cruz?
Of course, Tucker had faced a barrage of attacks from the Israeli lobby groups who also approached Donald Trump, asking him to clip the wings of conservative influencers. Tucker remained unmoved as he produced another hard-hitting podcast defending his action. As for Nick Fuentes, he hasn't gone as far as Tucker to apologize to Muslims, but he has come very close to doing that. For example, his comments here that expose the hypocrisy of those Americans who raised objections to Zohran Mamdani becoming the mayor of New York.
If you're against Muslims running for mayor, should Jews be banned from running for mayor? Because Jews hate Christ. But they won't say that. So is it a problem for them that someone from a different religion is mayor? Or is the problem that that person doesn't like Israel? Because I don't see Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk, I don't see them saying that Jews shouldn't be mayor. And religious Jews hate our religion. They hate Jesus Christ. They hate the Roman Empire. I don't see them saying that. They say, well, I'm against an immigrant being mayor of a major city. Really? Because we have dual citizens serving in Congress. They're not dual citizens with Saudi Arabia. They take money from dual citizens. They take money from a foreign government. I don't see them giving the money back. I don't see them criticizing that element. Last year, a congressman went into Congress wearing an IDF uniform, a soldier's uniform from another country's military. Was there a big outrage over that? Was there a big outrage over Randy Fine, who was just endorsed in a special election in Florida? Absolutely not. So what's really the problem here? Is the problem that people like myself are supporting Muslim socialists? Or is that just like a cheap deflection?
I wouldn't be surprised if these right-wing influencers would soon realize how Israelis had brainwashed them to hate Muslims, Arabs, and people of color so that they could continue to manipulate American society and their policy makers. The wind of change has started to blow, and I can't see any powers being able to stop it or even change its direction. This is a defining moment, to me, this is a defining moment in the history of America and the wider West. As Zohran Mamdani's father Mahmoud so eloquently puts it, the Gaza genocide has accelerated this change.
Yes, the anxiety is real, but the anxiety is not about Zohran. The anxiety is about what Zohran symbolizes. The anxiety is that the world out there is changing. The anxiety is that the war in Gaza has accelerated that change in the world.
But prominent Jewish Americans continue to live in denial. This woman, Sarah Hurwitz, used to be the speechwriter of the Obamas. No one would have questioned her loyalty to America when she was appointed in such a high position. I didn't even know she was a Jew or pro-Israeli Zionist. At that time, I remember thinking of her as a liberal and civilized voice. But she appears to be on a mission to prove all of us wrong. The more she speaks, the more we learn just what a vile and evil woman she has been. Watch her here. She wants to ban smartphones for young Jews because she's scared that they will learn about everything evil attached to Israel. She has zero remorse about Israeli terrorists murdering hundreds of thousands of innocent Palestinians, including a large number of them being children and babies. She just doesn't want young American Jews to learn about the Holocaust so that the only Holocaust they read about is the one concerning Nazis and Jews in the Second World War.
We're kind of entering a post-literate society, and if like all day long your brain is just smashed again and again by TikTok with really upsetting carnage in Gaza, then like you're talking and like I'm sorry if this is a graphic thing to say, but like when I'm trying to make arguments in favor, for Israel, I realize I'm talking through a wall of dead children. Like that's what people are seeing. So when I'm like, yeah, but it's 1.5 civilians they're just seeing carnage.
But
right?
that's
like,
the emotional blackmail.
I mean, fair enough, but like again, I mean that's nice, but like again, I'm hearing that through a wall of screaming children. It's like I think it's a harder argument than we're understanding. So I actually really strongly think that like Jewish day schools should absolutely say no child owns a smartphone until senior year. They don't own one at all, period. We give it to them senior year and we teach them. Like this whole not during the day, great, nice start. No smartphone at all until senior year. Dumb phone, sure. But I think that we've got to like give our kids' brains a chance and their mental health a chance before they start getting really warped.
Who would have thought that behind such a pleasant and seemingly civilized face, there exists a rotten and genocidal thought process? And this wasn't the only gold nugget uttered by Sarah Hurwitz. Here she is astonishingly admitting that the more she researched about the truth on Israel, the more she became convinced that she couldn't simply defend Israel.
You have this chapter in the book called My Search for Israel's Original Sin. Mm-hmm. So can you talk a little bit about what is Israel's original sin and and why you wanted to search for it?
So, my first book, I was talking to a Jewish communal leader, telling her about the chapters on ethics and God and Shabbat, on and on. And she looked at me and she said, and the chapter on Israel? And I had this long thing about, no, and it's distracting, la, la, la. And she looked at me and she goes, well, that's a cop-out. And the truth is it was. I felt a lot of anxiety about Israel. It seems so complicated. And I hate to say this now, but I think on some deep level, I had a feeling that there was something probably fundamentally problematic about Israel's founding and existence that if I did enough research, I would discover and I would not be able to defend.
This Sarah Hurwitz isn't the only Jewish American who refuses to see the writing on the wall. This is Barry Weiss, the woman who Larry Ellison and his son David Ellison have hired to lead the CBS News after a merger with Paramount. In case you didn't know, David Ellison is the largest donor to IDF terrorists. He's also the same chap who Trump wants to buy TikTok so that the platform could be used to push pro-Israeli propaganda. Watch this video to understand just how clueless she is about the changing reality in American society.
All of us see the moment that we're in. And all of us see that the choices that it feels like we have sometimes, which is Hassan Piker and Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes and, Andrew Tate, the kind of people that are rising in the podcast charts, those don't actually represent our values. And I don't think that they represent the values and the worldview of the vast majority of Americans. And so this is an opportunity to speak for the 75%, for the people that are on the center left and the center right that still believe in equality of opportunity, that still believe passionately in the American project, that still believe in all of the things that everyone in this room believes in, which is liberty and freedom and individual responsibility and in the most basic level, the right to know what is actually going on in the world. Not the world as propagandists and ideologues imagine it to be, but what's actually going on in the world and in your community so you can make decisions about where to send your kids to school, about where to live, and about how to vote. That used to just be normal. And the goal of what we're trying to do at CBS is to get back to that normalcy. And I feel incredibly energized and enthusiastic because I think that is where the vast majority of Americans actually are.
Well,
as I said, young Americans have woken up, and sooner these genocidal maniacs within the US media and politics realize, the better it will be for them. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.